Perfect. All right. So we are so blessed to hear a wonderful patient story by Sarah today. Sarah, thank you so much for being open to sharing your health journey and where your health started and where it's at today. So I'd love to just hear a little bit before you came to me as your Wellness Way doctor. What were you going through? Like, what was your health journey prior to the Wellness Way?
Sure. So my health journey before the Wellness Way, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis 6 years ago. On my birthday via GI doctor. I was having some issues and went in and they said I needed to get an immediate colonoscopy. Did that day, was diagnosed from a biopsy with ulcerative colitis. And that just said, and I had had no like symptoms of that really before that. It was like all at once. So as you can imagine, my life just like flipped upside down. I was like, I didn't even know what it was. I said, what is this thing? So when that happened, I'd come from a Western background and Western medicine background and didn't really know what that meant or what I needed to do or how serious it was. And the doctor that I had seen and every doctor that I had spoken to right after that test told me it was chronic. I'd have it forever. It is something, it's no big deal though. You'll be on medication. We'll give you medication. You'll be on it the rest of your life, but you won't even notice. You'll just pop a pill every day. You'll be fine. I'm like, okay. So at the time I was like, that was good enough for me. I was a little overwhelmed by it. I hadn't really dove into anything in the holistic sphere yet. So I was like, okay, great. So I started taking the pills that they gave me. It was called sulfasalazine is the first one I was on. And I immediately found out I was highly allergic to that within the first like 3 days. And when I went off of it, I went off cold turkey because it was really like, I was like, couldn't breathe. It was really bad. And when I did, I just decided, I said, I don't want to go back on a medication. I don't believe that this is the way it's supposed to be. And I'm a person of faith. So I also believe that chronic for me is not something that I want in my vocabulary. So I said, I'm not going to use that word anymore. I believe that God still heals. I believe that there's methods out there that can heal my body because I just don't believe that this is my lot in life. There's just no way. So, in faith, I started researching. I'd never done that before. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I was looking for holistic practitioners and people that have had experience with ulcerative colitis and helping people heal from that. So I found basically that journey that set me on is I went through like 6 different practitioners in 5 years. And that was exhausting, but all things work together because truly everybody saw in part. And it got me to a point where I could it was managed, but I didn't have much freedom. I was like living like this. I had I was eating the same couple foods. I was really strict. Discipline is not a problem for me. So I was really disciplined with my food. I immediately, at first there was a massive learning curve, but I was spending like 3 hours every week at the grocery store, reading labels, trying to learn what was good and what wasn't. I was taking supplements and, there's a vast array of supplements out there. So each practitioner that I had seen had a different array of supplements. And I remember at one point when I was, starting my healing journey, I was on like 32 different supplements a day, or 32 pills. I took like 32 pills a day. It was like crazy. It was a lot. Not that there's anything wrong with taking a lot, but if they're not they weren't doing the testing that I needed to really know, they're kind of flying blind, as you guys say. So I was managed, but I wasn't healing and I wasn't able to branch outside of that. And I love how Dr. Jacqueline explained it when I met with her for the first time about a year ago. She said, it's like you're a full cup of water and you're filled to the brim and you're holding, but you could tip over at any point. It could just overflow. And that's how I felt. I knew that I wasn't completely healed and I needed to figure some things out. I knew there was still inflammation. I knew there was still stuff I needed to do. So, so I found the Wellness Way I was watching a podcast episode that Dr. Patrick Flynn was on. And he was talking about his wife and kind of how he came up with this entire, really developed his mindset of the I disagree mindset and how it's not supposed to be that way. And I felt so validated in that moment. Something in my spirit was just like, oh, like, yes, that's what I've been longing to hear. And it resonated in my spirit. I was like, that's the truth. So as I heard him talk about his wife and their experience, I was also told I couldn't have any more children and all of that. And it just very similar kind of situation. And so I decided I would just give them a call and try. Because at this point, I wasn't really seeing a specific practitioner. I was just kind of holding and eating healthy and, managing, taking good supplements that I knew would help fortify my gut and help, the mucus lining and all the things and everything that you hear about from a basic scale. But when I called Dr. Jacqueline, I did that discovery call. It was like 20 minutes. And I didn't know what I was getting into, but immediately when I spoke to her, I just felt so much hope and validation in what I knew to be true in my spirit and what I had experienced. Because I had gotten bits and pieces and lots of good pieces, but they didn't all work together to like have the whole picture. It's like everybody had a little piece. So when I met Dr. Jacqueline, she kind of explained how it all could work together and how there is hope, and she has experience with people who have healed from ulcerative colitis and many other things. And I also had some hormone imbalance issues that were really kind of playing a role, but they were an effect, kind of like it's all connected. But so anyway, we got started on that journey. And when I was at my worst, my inflammation levels, I kid you not, my GI doctor called me like 3 different times back in when I first was diagnosed and was like, you need to get on the next medication. You need a biologic. You need to go get, infusions. This is terrifying. Please take medication. Your inflammation levels are off the charts. They're so high. I don't even have like a metric for it. And now, as of a couple weeks ago, my numbers are at 0 for inflammation. And that is
the first time ever.
Crazy. Like blew my mind. I sobbed when I sobbed because, and this is a God wink. I was diagnosed on my birthday in September of 2018. And I got the results on my birthday of this year.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Full circle.
Amazing.
So cool. So cool. Yeah. Yes. So it's been a whole journey.
And I remember when we first started, you were still experiencing a series of gut issues.
Yes.
What was your day-to-day like when we first tested you?
My day-to-day was like I would eat stuff, but I was so cautious. And I did have I had a little bit of fear around food because there were certain things that I'm like, if I don't want to branch outside of my little box because I was scared of the results. Like I would still have cramping occasionally after I'd eat certain things. I would still, I'd have a lot of gas. I would have, occasionally after I'd eat, I'd feel like in my throat, I'd feel like I either had allergies or was like coming down with a cold. And, I just still, my bowel movements were not perfect. They were just like, okay. And I was holding. I wasn't seeing blood like I used to. Like when I first was diagnosed, it was bad. And that's how I knew I was seeing blood. But when I came to Dr. Jacqueline, I wasn't seeing blood anymore, which is great, but it also wasn't the way it was supposed to be. And I knew it was still off because my gut was still very sensitive. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I remember when we first started as well, like you would just be done for the day. Like if it was not a good day, you would have to shut it down and ask hubby for help. And that was it for you. Like you couldn't even be a mom or do the things that you enjoyed because your body and your health was running you, not the other way around.
That's right. And I'd have to think about where we went and how long we were there, and travel was extra. stressful because I just had to make sure that all of the elements lined up and were okay so that I would be okay to exist in that space. And gosh, life has changed so much. I'm normal now. Like I am so normal. I can do anything and go anywhere. And it's just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And exactly what you said is true. Like, I just remember you had to do things just so,
Yeah.
or you would fall apart. And it
Yeah.
could be more than one day as well. You know, you weren't bleeding, but you had a lot of basically ripples of things that could last all week or 4 or
Right.
5 days where you had to make massive lifestyle adjustments.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we got down to the bottom of it. Obviously, we tested you individually.
Yeah.
We made that plan together. We have
Mhm.
helped your body to transform and restore.
Yeah.
And, you know, a big marker for ulcerative colitis patients is calprotectin.
Yes.
And for that to come back on this last gut test as nothing is massive.
It's huge. I was told that would not happen unless I was on regular medications. And even then, that it wouldn't ever be zero. Like it would never go down that far, or it would come back, like it just for sure. It was for sure going to come back, and it was going to be, obviously I don't have a lot of longevity since it's been zero, but I'm choosing to believe that is my life now. I am at zero. I know the things to do. I know I have the best resource in the Wellness Way and in Dr. Jacqueline. And I believe that I'm not going to be back there again.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we always say, and I'm sure you heard Dr. Patrick share this as well,
Mhm.
the body never makes mistakes.
No.
It never makes mistakes. And once we line up that plan, it wants to be well. But
Yeah.
you got to know what's going wrong in
Mhm.
order to help a system that's struggling. And that's why we don't guess, we test, which
Yes.
is key in that process, because every single person is absolutely individual. And we
Mhm.
can't just throw a bunch of stuff at them and hope for the best.
Yeah. That's the thing I was always confused about with some of my past practitioners. While of course they were doing the best to their ability, I was always confused at, they would give me supplements and they would guess at how much I should take, and they would guess at like, what my body needed. And it was just it was a whole guessing game. And I was like, how could you know what's going on? And they were just kind of banking on my results, like of like my symptoms, like if I was symptomatic and all that, but there was no way to, there was just no documentation. There was no way to like measure that.
Yeah.
So the testing was everything. The testing helped a lot. And I remember the first gut test that I took with you, the thing that shocked me the most when I looked at it, I mean, I kind of knew the numbers would be around where they were. However, when we got down to like infections and, viral things and things like that, there was one in there, and I looked it up and it says known to cause ulcerative colitis. And I'm like, well, hello.
Yes,
Like,
absolutely. And our
oh,
lab does this research and correlates these things.
yeah.
And, with certainty, we can say, yes, if this is there, this could be a road you're going down.
Yeah. All the pieces came together, and it gave me answers to where other doctors don't have them and don't know where to look for them, or they just don't care to look for them, to be honest, because they've always done things a certain way. So it was really nice to know that I had the details. We knew where it was coming from and how it was moving, how it was working, and how to fix it and what to do for me specifically. Another thing that helped a lot was the allergy test with the because it's such a detailed test.
Yes.
So detailed, like even down to like, the levels of 1 through 4, things that I may not, like, I don't have an anaphylactic issue with, but that my body is resistant to and inflammatory towards. Shocking. I mean, the things on there, I'm like, this makes so much sense why I have felt this after eating this. And I just never put 2 and 2 together. And then you start paying attention because you have information to pay attention to. And it just shifts your whole focus, and you realize what makes you feel good and what makes you feel bad. And it really gives you a mind body connection that I didn't have before, of just an awareness of like what like I can do this. I just never been shown how to pay attention to my body in that way of like what makes me feel good and what makes me feel bad. And now I'm so quick to know. I could go and eat something that my friend made and I don't know what's in it. And I'll immediately within a couple hours, I'll be like, that must have had this in it or this in it. And I can ask and just be a better representation for my body.
Yes, absolutely. You should know what's working for your body and what's not. And now you have that tool to connect all those pieces, which is exactly what we want our patients to be able to do, is to know how to self-care for their whole body moving forward.
Yeah. Life-changing. Absolutely life-changing.
Yeah.
My kids notice a difference. Everyone.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I have one last question for you, Sarah. You know, somebody that maybe is struggling with something, that's on the fence, or maybe like you, they've had other practitioners. What would you share with them to help them to take that next step?
I would say a couple things. The first thing I would say is you're not alone. You're not an anomaly, because you can feel like an anomaly because there's just not many resources out there for you that are this extensive, and it can be difficult to find if you don't know where you're looking. So when you find someplace like the Wellness Way, I just want to encourage you to take the jump. It is so worth it. And I know a lot of times, like outside of insurance can be really scary and it's investment, but it's an investment in your health. And if you don't have your health, you literally have nothing. That is like my husband and I talk about, like we have like a totem pole of like priorities in our life. Health is at the top. Like everything goes to that. Cause if we're not here, nothing else matters. Vacations don't matter. Christmases, all the things, none of that matters unless we have our health. So I just want to encourage you that there is a way. The Wellness Way is incredible. They want your best. They want the best for you. They're not trying to get a residual patient to just like stay with them all the time and keep them sick so that they can, or keep them on medications that keep them coming back. They really want you to do well and go out and live your life. And you're not going to find another place like this. Truly. I firmly believe that. And it's a culture from the top down that's been set with a belief system that is rooted in the truth. And that's the most important thing, is if you don't have truth, you'll never heal, because you're healing based off of half truths, a lack of information, and some lies, like saying that you'll have this forever and there's no cure for you. There's no way to get out of this. You'll never live normally off of medication. That is a lie from the pit of hell. And I just want to encourage you that is not your lot in life. And there's so much more for you. And the Wellness Way can show you that way. So.
Well, thank you, Sarah. Just tremendous progress, tremendous hope that you have shared. And just watching your health transform, just lights me up. Like, this is why I do what I do and why I've worked so hard and studied so much, because I know there's so many of yous out there, and I'm so excited when I cross that bridge, and get you to the other side, and what that does to also transform a family and your children's health and your community around you. That is so inspiring to me.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you. I appreciate your investment in your education to know how to do all of this. I appreciate your time and the care that you've given me, because it's been very individual, very bio-individual as far as how you have treated my symptoms and everything. And just being someone to listen and understand that it is hard where we've come from, and that it's not, no one deserves this. Like, no one deserves anything like this. And it's not something we're meant to live with. So I really, really appreciate that you've been so faith-filled and hope-filled for me and for my family, because she's also treated my brother and he's also healed of what he was dealing with, which is a totally different thing. So that was really fun that I could bring people to you and say, hey, go to her. She can help you. The Wellness Way can help you. So I really, really appreciate your investment in what you do and people. and being a hope dealer, because you really dealt hope out to so many people, and especially me and my family.
Oh, well, thank you, Sarah. We so appreciate you. And just again, yeah, passing it on to others, because
Yes.
that's what we're here to do. We're here to help people get down to the bottom of their health issues.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amen.
Mm.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.